What is going on, you guys? It's Nacho with a brand new video, and in today's video I'm going to be covering the Insta360 setup tutorial. I'm going to be covering everything I use to mount my Insta360 camera on the back of my bike. Make sure that you guys watch through the entire video because I'm going to be talking about which camera I would recommend for you guys, which stick I would recommend for you guys, as well as which mount I would recommend, because every situation is different. After we finish setting up the mount, I'm going to show you guys exactly what I use to capture crisp audio, and then we'll take the R9 out on a ride. And then towards the end of the video, I'm going to be showing you guys my editing process. So to get started, let's jump into these cameras. Alright guys, so the first thing that you guys want to do is obviously pick up an Insta360 camera, but the ultimate question is which one should you buy? During the recording of this video, the Insta360 spring sale is currently live all the way from March 16th till the end of the month. So if you're watching this in the month of March, this is probably the best time to pick up your camera. And I'm going to start off by saying the X2 is probably not the best option right now because of the spring sale. You can get the X3 at a much better value, or possibly even the same price as the X2. And if you use code Nacho with the purchase of any of these 4 cameras on the table, you will get yourself a completely free Insta360 Mic Air. This is exactly what I use to capture audio on my motorcycle. And later in the video, I'll show you guys the best place to mount this for the most clean audio. So the way that I would recommend these cameras is that if you're on a low budget, just something to get you by, I would highly recommend the Insta360 X3. This camera has a really good value of $230 during the spring sale, so you honestly cannot go wrong with this camera. You would just be missing out on a little bit of quality, a little bit of battery life, and no option for ND filters, but other than that, it's a really great camera. Next up, after the X3, I would honestly give it to the X4 Air. This is a really good mid-budget camera. This camera here goes for $300 during the spring sale, and it has the option to do ND filters. This is the best value if you plan on getting something that's very light, portable, user-friendly, and if you want something for vlogging or travel. It's also a camera that's really easy to use, but I wouldn't recommend it if you plan on abusing this camera like I do. On extremely long bike rides, I would probably leave it up to one of these 2 cameras. Next up is going to be the Insta360 X4. Now this is going to be at a higher budget. This goes for $340. I would recommend it if you want the best quality along with battery life compared to the rest of these 3 cameras. The only downside is that you don't have an option for ND filters. If you wanted ND filters, your only option would be the X4 Air, or the next option, which is going to be the Insta360 X5, which we'll get into right now. Now for the top of the line, if you want the best quality, best battery life, if you're going to be abusing this camera to the max, it is going to be the Insta360 X5. This camera even comes with an option to get the ultra battery, which is what I went because I go on extremely long rides. So if you plan on keeping this camera recording for a long period of time, make sure you pick one of these up. I believe these go for like 45 to 50 bucks. And the value for this camera with the sale goes for around $465. And of course, it comes with the option to get ND filters if that's something that you're into. So those are essentially all the cameras that I would take into consideration. I almost just ate shit. So yeah, before you start mounting, pick up camera, don't trip on your Once again, X2, I would not recommend. You get a way better value for the X3. The rest of these 3 cameras are completely situational, so whichever one fits you, just pick that camera up. Once again, make sure you guys use code Nacho. Along with the mic, you also get some other free goodies. I believe you also get a free carrying case along with a free stick, so make sure you guys pick up on that deal. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the sticks and mounts now. All right, so for the sticks, you do have a couple of options. You have the invisible selfie stick, or whoa, that looks kind of wrong with the clamp, but you can get an extended selfie stick, which is the one that I personally use. This is the one that I personally use because it gives me a little more peace of mind given how big it is. I want to emphasize nothing is wrong with this one here. Small ones are always still good. And I'll be showing you guys later in the video why I literally can't use this one on my bike. So me personally, I am going to use the Insta360 X5 camera along with the extended selfie stick. This is pretty much the best duo that you can go with, and you're also going to need a heavy duty clamp. This is pretty much required when mounting it on your bike, and I'll show you why when we get to that process. And we're pretty much almost done. The last thing that you're going to need is a crab clamp. You don't necessarily need it if you're relying on this heavy duty clamp, but I like to play it safe. This is essentially a support bracket for your stick, and not only will it be a second layer of protection, but it'll also help keep your video stable along with your stick from swinging around everywhere. So I would highly encourage doing this. Before they came out with this, I was actually using an old Temu mount, which, you know, it did the job, but this one is a lot better. And of course, there's one last thing missing to finish up this setup, and that's the Mic Air. So now let's jump straight into the setup portion. First thing you're going to want to do is grab your heavy duty clamp. Find a portion of the bike where you can mount this heavy duty clamp on. In my case, I'm going to mount it right here. The Yamaha R9 has these brackets right here where it's perfect to mount. Just make sure if you don't want to scratch up your paint, use electrical tape. Wrap it around a couple of times, and when you take off the electrical tape, there will be no scratches left behind. Now on this bike, there is no other bracket I could really mount this crab clamp to, so I'm left with no other option but to put on the rear peg. It does look kind of ugly because the other one is off, and I have to have this one on for the support bracket. Once again, it's not required, but I highly recommend wrapping it in electrical tape to make sure you do not scratch that paint. Also, I don't know if you guys noticed, but this is a brand new camera, so hopefully you guys enjoyed the quality of today's video. If you guys like the quality of this video, make sure you comment down below and let me know before I return this camera, because I spent my life savings on this. All right, so I just mounted the heavy duty clamp right here. After you mount your heavy duty clamp, make sure that you have this pointing backwards. That's where your stick is gonna go. So let me show you guys why I cannot use this skinny one. So I'm gonna extend this as far out as it can go. So this is the furthest that the stick can go, and me personally, I honestly can't get away with a shot like this. But if your bike has a higher support bracket that's anywhere in the tail area, I would honestly go with this stick here. I just can't use it because my support is way too low on the bike. And that is why I go with the extended selfie stick. The difference between the two is pretty crazy. So something that I like to do, especially if you have a rear peg, is have this resting on the rear peg. That way it's gonna be 1, 2, and then the third layer of support, essentially having this rest on the peg. Another thing I want to mention when setting up your Insta360 camera, if you have a rear stand, I would highly recommend putting this up so that way your bike is completely upright. This way you can pretty much find the desired length for your stick when you go to the front of the bike. When you go on the front of the bike, what you're looking for is that stick to line up perfectly right in the middle of the tail. And this right here is exactly what I'm looking for. We have the stick lined up right in the tail. At least that's the look that I'm looking for. If you want something that's off to the side, there's not only one way to do it, so please feel free to play around with it. Now all that is left is pretty much to unbox this and put that on the bike. All right, so I'm gonna be placing the crab clamp right on the rear peg. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this up. You can tighten this one pretty much as hard as you want. There you go, that is not gonna go anywhere. But for the second one right here, you're gonna wanna be careful with this one. Do not tighten it too much. So for the top one, just be a little slow when you're tightening it. You do not need to tighten it hard at all. Just enough where it grabs on, and if you move it, it'll move with you. If you're still able to pull the stick, tighten it a little more. All right, there we go. I personally tighten this to the point where I feel a little bit of friction. That way it's not too tight or it's not too loose. This middle section right here will pretty much keep everything intact. So my rule for the best shot is typically whenever I hit 6 lines, I guess you can say. So that's 1, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. Or I guess I could just say 240 centimeters. This is my sweet spot when it comes to third-person POVs. Now, other than that, that's pretty much all there is to it to mounting the stick. Now you can basically turn on the camera, put your camera onto the stick, and that's pretty much it. If you're gonna be recording in daytime, 4K 60 is perfect. If you're gonna be recording in nighttime, pure video mode, 4K 30 is perfect. All right, and now for the mic Air. I get this question a million times, where I mount it on my bike. I've honestly been playing around with new locations of this mic Air. The most recent location that I've been playing around with was right here on the stick. When you get a mic Air, this is gonna come with a magnetic pendant, and you could put your pendant anywhere on the stick, wrap it in electrical tape just like how I did. And since the backside of the mic Air is completely magnetic, you have the option to put this pendant anywhere you want, wrap it in some tape, and you'll be pretty much good. Now, this is my new location for the SE Project because it's a higher exhaust system. Before the SE Project, I actually had a Dominator GP3, which ended at about right here. Since it was a shorty pipe, I actually was able to mount it right under the bike. I was able to get away with this right here because it's completely magnetic. Now, once again, feel free to play around with the mic Air. There isn't one correct location to place it. Every single bike is different, so do what fits you. But without further ado, let's go ahead and take the R9 out on a ride and capture some clips on the X5. After that, we'll go ahead and talk about the editing process. So I'll catch you guys in a bit. All right guys, and now for the editing portion of the video. If you need help editing your Insta360 clips, this part is for you. First thing you want to do is download the Insta360 Studio app. I found it way easier to edit on a MacBook or a laptop. So if you have access to a MacBook or PC, I highly recommend editing on this rather than your phone. Not that editing on a phone is impossible, but it's way easier if you have a MacBook, especially if you use a mouse and keyboard, which is what I'm doing on my MacBook. So as soon as you download the app, go ahead and plug in your MicroSD card reader and open open up whichever file you want to edit. So the first thing you want to do is skim through your timeline and see whichever portion that you want to edit. As soon as you find the start of the video that you want to edit, go ahead and pause it and click the letter I. What that'll do is pretty much just gray out the entire beginning portion so you don't have to export it. Now you can click the letter O. What this is gonna do is gray out everything except for the video portion that you want to export. So this small portion right here is exactly what I'm gonna be using to edit. Feel free to zoom into your timeline to make it a lot easier to access. And now the next thing that you want to do if you're using an Insta360 Mic Air is go over to your audio settings on the right hand side. Make sure that your headphone volume is all the way to 100 and your camera volume is to 0. A lot of people forget to do this crucial part when exporting their video when they're using their Mic Air, and they say that they still get a lot of wind noise when all they needed to do was go in the audio settings and max out the headphone volume. This is very important because if you have any kind of camera volume, it's just gonna pick up wind noise. So make sure your headphone volume is at 100. That's all you need to do. Go ahead and close that out. Now that we have the audio dialed in, we can pretty much get into the keyframes and the editing portion. On the bottom right-hand corner, you can also see right here, you can change the ratio of the video depending whether you want to post it on YouTube or Instagram. If you're posting on YouTube, you're gonna want to do 16:9. If you're posting on IG or Instagram, you want to do 9:16. So since a lot of you guys are coming over from Instagram, I'm going to do my example on 9:16. So to reframe your video, all you have to do is hold down the left click and you could pretty much move around anywhere you want. Once again, I'm using a mouse, so it might be a little different if you're using a trackpad. And if you want to zoom in, go ahead and use a scroll wheel. So go ahead and find your first frame. As soon as you're satisfied with your first frame, you're going to want to put down your first keyframe, which is this little plus sign right here. Now, when you click on your keyframe, you can change your angle gear. I personally use dewarp. I think it looks the most natural. I find that ultra wide kind of makes it look too much of a circle, and dewarp gives it a little more of that natural look. So I'm gonna be using dewarp. Another thing I want to mention, on the top right, go ahead and click stabilization type. Make sure you have direction lock on. Doing this will make it so much easier to edit. So after that's done, go ahead and play the clip. It should look just like this. Now you're gonna notice when I play the clip, I slowly start to get off-centered, which I like to fix right away. As soon as I see my body getting out of frame, I place another keyframe and reframe it to me being right in the middle, literally just by a couple inches. So now the first keyframe is me in the middle. Second keyframe, I reframe it to me being in the middle again. And now when I replay the clip, you can see with that extra keyframe, it has me in the middle the entire time. This is just an extra step you can do if you want your video to come out as perfect as possible. All right, so let's continue with the editing. I do notice up here, I start to downshift. One thing I like to do when I'm downshifting is zoom in the video slightly. That way it feels a little more immersive. So from this keyframe right here all the way up into the point where I do my downshift, I'm gonna go ahead and place another keyframe and zoom in slightly. And as you guys can see, when I replay this portion of the video, it's slowly going to be zooming in. So just to be clear, the first keyframe up until the second keyframe, I didn't change anything other than just moving the frame slightly. So the first portion is going to be completely normal and the second portion is going to be slowly zooming in. And so now picking up from the third keyframe, I'm pretty much waiting for the pull to start. And it looks like it starts right here. So what I'm going to do is place my fourth keyframe. And so now from the fourth keyframe, I'm going to go ahead and play it to see when I finish doing the pull. All right, and it looks like I finished the pull here. So I'm going to do is place my last keyframe. When I finish the pull, I like to zoom out slowly, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that here. And so now with the help of the keyframes during the entire pull, it's slowly gonna be zooming out. And right here is pretty much when I let off throttle. Something I like to do is wait maybe about 3 seconds, add another keyframe, and this is pretty much gonna zoom back in normally, basically letting the viewers know that I let off throttle. I'm gonna go ahead and extend this a little further out. So now this is pretty much a completed video. And so once again, to explain the keyframes as clearly as I possibly can, the very first frame is the beginning of your shot. The second frame that I put down here is just reframing it to have me in the middle. The second to third keyframe that I have here is simply just zooming in before the start of the pull. The third keyframe to the fourth keyframe is simply just me waiting before I start the pull. And now from the fourth keyframe to the fifth keyframe, I'm pretty much just zooming out, showing that I'm doing a pull. And now from the fifth keyframe to the sixth keyframe, all I did was zoom in to show that I let off throttle. And that is pretty much all there is to it. Now this clip here is pretty much all good to export, but if you'd like to have a little bit of motion blur, go ahead and click on Motion ND. Motion ND is really cool if you want to have any motion blur effects, and you can actually edit the intensity over in the media processing. Over here you can edit the intensity as well as the spread. I usually go with 60/40, and this is where I pretty much export. These here are my export settings. Bitrate, you could leave it at 100, and you could feel free to copy this. It's honestly a very simple and straightforward process, and obviously the more you do it, the more you'll get the hang of it. So hopefully you guys found this useful. Feel free to comment down below if you have any questions at all. And now I'll show you guys both clips side by side. Alright guys, and that is going to wrap up today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and learned something new. If you guys have any questions at all about the setup that I'm running, please comment down below and I promise I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. If you guys have any questions in regards to recommendations or anything really, feel free to DM me on Instagram. I'll be sure to put it on the screen. I might get back to you a little quicker. And also in the next video, I'm going to be installing the Puig. A lot of you guys corrected me in the last video. Puig is the correct way to say it, so thank you guys for correcting me. And the track day is creeping up on my schedule, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that next video. Hopefully you guys also enjoyed the new camera that I'm using. It's honestly super crisp. It's recording in 4K 60, so you guys should be seeing better quality in these upcoming videos. But without further ado, make sure you like, subscribe, comment down below if you have any questions, follow my socials, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.